Other people just saw strong-arm tactics. I saw fraud.
For the past several weeks, we've brought you clips from a new documentary called We Will Not Be Silenced 2008. It purports to show evidence of Barack Obama's presidential campaign stealing the nomination from Hillary Clinton during the 2008 primary through voter fraud and intimidation like this.
There was this lady, probably about 80 years old, who was sort of walking slowly up the street. And as she was approaching the entranceway to go into the building, one of the young men said to her, "If you're not voting for Obama, go home, because you're not voting here today."
After thousands of voter complaints like that one, the Democratic National Committee created a commission to fix the system before the next election. It's called the Democratic Change Commission, but some insiders say it won't make any difference come 2012. Will Bauer is the founder of Puma, a group formed out of frustration with the Democratic Party and how Hillary Clinton was treated. Good morning, Will.
Good morning. Great to be here.
Okay, so you've been to 3 of these meetings of the Change Commission. What changes are they talking about? What did you see there?
Well, unfortunately, the short answer is that there will be no changes for 2012. There were people on the Change Commission who went there earnestly, had every intention of making improvements, but the ultimate say lies with the Rules and Bylaw Committee, and they've essentially ignored all of the recommendations that the Change Commission put forth.
So that is mystifying, because we've heard so many complaints of corruption, even if it doesn't rise to the level of corruption, just chaos, of fraud, of voter intimidation. Let me give our viewers another example, another clip from the film. Here is a woman whose identity has to be protected after she says she received death threats working on the campaign. Listen.
I could never vote for Barack Obama. We saw not only voters being harassed, but campaign workers like myself and others were harassed.
So campaign volunteers harassed, voters harassed. Why wouldn't the Change Commission respond to some of those charges?
Well, I don't know. The question is, I mean, the system works for the people who win. And so this was my fear why Obama would win the nomination in November, is that this whole system of corruption and fraudulence would be enshrined, and that's what's happening. Most of the people that were appointed to the Change Commission and most of the people appointed to the Rules and Bylaw Committee were Obama supporters and Obama activists. So they have little incentive to change a system that worked for them and for their candidate. It seems like everything went wrong in 2008, and this would have been a perfect time to make corrections. But not once in any of the meetings, not in any of the papers that either of those committees drafted, were the words intimidation mentioned or fraud. None of it. It's as if everything went well in 2008. They're glossing over all the problems that did happen.
Well, here are the proposed changes by the Democratic Change Commission, and you're right, let's pull them up. They say they're going to change the time that primaries and caucuses are held. They're going to reduce the number of superdelegates. And they're going to, now here's the last one, and this is vital, improve the caucus system. So many people, if you look back at the media reports from 2008 during the primaries, so many people talk about the chaos, and some even call it corruption. So how exactly do they plan to change the caucus system?
Well, essentially what they're doing is they're punting it. They're giving it to the states' parties. The only mention that they've made is that they'll be requesting that caucus states will put forth best practices, and that's it. That's the end of all discussion. So essentially it'll be up to Texas, for example, to create their own best practices, and we saw how well that worked in 2008. So we can only hope that the state parties and the state legislatures will take it upon themselves to make improvements. But right now, at the national level, the DNC, the Rules and Bylaws Committee, they're not doing anything to address it.
You bring up Texas. In Texas alone, there were, I think, 2,000 complaints during the primaries and caucuses there of things like fraud and intimidation. What some people have talked about doing is getting rid of the caucuses, that they're so rife with at least chaos that we should just do away with them. Has the Democratic Change Commission considered that?
Not at all. And in fact, literally, within the first 5 minutes of the very first meeting of the Change Commission, both Claire McCaskill and James Clyburn extolled the virtues of the caucus, saying that they wanted them to be enhanced and strengthened, and that there should be more of them, and that they thought it was great for the Democratic Party and for the democratic process. Most of us on our side of the equation, we completely disagree that it takes away the sanctity of the vote, of one person, one vote. that it's probably one of the most corrupt systems and one of the most damaging to our system of government.
Well, we should let our viewers know that we've asked for a representative from the DNC to come on and talk about the Change Commission with us. They have thus far declined our invitation. But Will Bauer, we really appreciate you coming on and sharing what you've seen taking place there. We appreciate your insight. Thanks so much.
Thank you. My pleasure.
And if you want to find out more about We Will Not Be Silenced 2008, you can find it at our website, foxandfriends.com. Meanwhile, we told you